Welcome back. We're going to jump into these 12 stories from the core. So let me just tell you a little bit about how this all came to be. As I started following my own call and I had shifted out of a big sales career and a big arts background, I returned to my original roots, which is really rehearsal, or it was actually a workshop space. But if I really boil it down, what I love about the workshop space is rehearsal. It's that place where story is alive. Now, I didn't know that's what it was, but in retrospect, I can look back and go, oh, it's always been that for me. It's always been about the listening space and where story emerges. So I went back to my roots, and I developed this workshop called Live Your Best Story. And in Live Your Best Story, the whole weekend is a weekend of deep listening, where each person who comes, the whole piece is that they're there to listen in to the story within them. And so it led me to thinking, okay, so I'm just going to get on the phone with people and offer some listening sessions and see what happens. And what started to happen is, one, a pattern of listening that I have started to emerge. I didn't know that going in. Now, I happen to be someone who learns in the doing. So just picking up the phone and talking to people was how it all started. And I didn't know what I was doing, which is also part of what the gift is for me around listening. It is actually in the space of mystery. It's in the space of not knowing that I can hear. Because as soon as I know something, I can't hear it anymore. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, but as soon as I know something, there's no information to be transferred over. The only time that I'm truly in that space of receiving is when I'm blank, when I don't know. Because in that place, I can actually hear what's being said, what is emerging versus, my interpretation of it. And if we go back to the story from the core, each of these carriers carries this energy, and it's only when we get to the place where language actually exists that we are now potentially interpreting, right? So my gifting is that I listen into that core place, and then I monkey about and play about with the language of it with the person I'm listening to until it gongs. It's like there's truth between us. They have truth, I have truth. So I did a bunch of listening sessions to kind of figure all this stuff out. And in these listening sessions, I started to notice that I would ask, eventually I would be drilling things down to this core place. And in doing that, 12 stories emerged. And now when I do a core story call with somebody, which is also in my book, what I'm listening for is what is the divine narrative that has guided them through every crossroads of their life. Every crossroad can be measured by this one particular story. If you've listened to my other videos, you know that I use this image of we are like a divine narrative, like a stone that is just looking for a stone in my office, because of course I will have stones in my office. We come into the world like a story stone, and as that story stone is dropped into the water, the narrative on that stone ripples. It causes a cascade of ripples across the water. And as our life carries on, those ripples, which are the expression of us, the expression of that divine narrative, eventually soften until we die and become part of the water when our story is complete. So within each of these ripples, there is one of these 12 stories, which is what we came into the world on the stone. We came into the world with this. But each ripple is an expression of that story. So the 12 stories that I have arrived at, I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say that there's only 12. As far as I know, there is 12. Maybe in the evolution of God, of life itself, there will be a 13th or 14th, but right now, in over 100 calls I've had with people, which are about an hour long, these are the only 12 that have come through. The number one story that I hear the most is the enough story. Now, the thing about core stories is they have a double-edged sword. One half of your core story is the medicine. It is the thing that drives you. It is the thing that you give people. and the very thing you give people is also the medicine for you. So on one side of the story, you have your core medicine. On the other side, you have your core poison. If you go back to this ripple, right, and these crossroads, every crossroad can be tracked back to one of these 12 stories. So there's the enough story. Enough people measure a lot. Am I enough? Am I not enough? Up, down, is it full? Is it not full? The belonging story. It is like their great pain point and their great decision at that crossroads is always going to be, am I going to belong here or am I not going to belong here? And their decision is based on that. The matter story. That's my story. The matter story. So my deepest, darkest, crappiest days, the lie I tell myself is, I don't matter. None of it matters. Forget about it. Like, just pack it up. It doesn't matter. It's not worth the agreement that is signed on. It doesn't matter. We're also matter people, meaning like this is a computer that I'm talking to, and I know it's a vibrational energy agreement, blah, 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 that is just vibrating, whatever, but I also have to type on it, and it also has to like print stuff for me. So it is matter. Okay. So there's the matter story. There's the control story. You know who you are. Truth has a sound. Truth for you of your medicine and your poison is in that control place. You either have it or you don't have it. And at every crossroads, the decision you make is going to be leaning towards either a reaction to not having it or a reaction to going and getting it, which is still kind of not having it. The worthy story is the next one, which is not the same as the enough story. Enough is about, am I enough? Did I do enough? Will it ever be enough? And the worthy story is really our worth. Like, oh, am I worthy? Am I worthy? Right? Head bowed. Am I worthy? Am I not worthy? The thing story. This is my favorite one. It's funny because even though I've written this, I always go, the thing story. What is that? Until I'm talking to a client, I'm like, oh, right. The thing story is no thing, everything. No thing, everything. And this is not the existential one. That's a different story. It is, there is nothing here. There is everything here. These are the people that walk around with so much going on. It's all everything all the time, or it's nothing. These are my 0-100 people. There's the power story. I tend to attract a lot of these people in my life. Power story people are the people who are like plugged in. So if we all have an extension cord plugged into God and our job is to just plug in every day, they might have two. Or frankly, they might feel like the sun lives inside of them. The power story people are often the people who pop light bulbs. Now, not all of the time, but there are those who, like those electrical current people, right? They are power. The hope story. Hopeful, hopeless. What they give the world is hope on their deepest, darkest days. It's hopeless. They have no hope. The with story. I love this story so much. It is not mine, but I tend to fall in love with, like, my best friends, my soul people often have this as a very big part of their story. The with story are the people I'm with you. I'm with you. And you're with me. Like, their pain is nobody's with me. Nobody's with me. And it's not about belonging. That's different. Belonging is like family. It is, I am of this tribe. I belong to this house, or I belong to this country. The with story are the people, are the walk alongside people. They are with you. The life story is the existential one. The life story is lifeless. There is no life. Or all life. These are like, they're often the growers, right? The growers of the world. And on their most painful crossroads, there is no life. It's like the light goes out. The 11th story is the love story. This story, and this is not just you empaths out there, so please don't I will unpack this even more in my book, but just know that the love story is not because you're empathetic or you're a nurse or you're a therapist. The love story is also that energy story where, oh man, they just are love. I can think of one of my dearest friends, and she is absolutely the love story. And in her poison, it's about letting love in. And of course, what she gives the world is unconditional love. And the 12th story is the great Hamlet story, is the to be or not to be question. And that is the identity story. It is the who am I story. On our most painful days, they don't know who they are. They are the lost part of Stardust. The idea of going to Stardust, like they are missed themselves. MIST. And in their full medicine, what they give is that concreteness of identity with other people. I see you. So know that each of us carries all 12 of these stories inside of us. But there will be one that leads the show. There will be one driver that, again, if you look at all of the crossroads of your life, you'll be able to go, oh my gosh, there it is. I'm up against the matter story again. Like for me, when I first started working with the matter story, it was very much connected to masculine energy. I grew up in a house with 8 brothers. I have 3 sons, and at the time I was married to a very kind of alpha dominant male. And my feminine story, it's like I didn't even exist in the house, which again is not the existential life story. It was, I didn't matter. There was no matter of me in the house. And I did one change, one little thing, as I stopped drinking my coffee out of big old, mugs. And I started drinking coffee out of really feminine mugs. And every time I would pick up this little china mug, I would go, oh my gosh, I do matter. I do matter. I do matter. And from that place, all these other small choices of mattering, I started to make them. Like I started to, my bedding in my room changed. The clothes, my nightgowns changed. Like all of these things that again were directly connected to the feminine. But the feminine of mattering started to shift for me. So, and trust me, I can unpack this way more on the matter story of, being adopted, being divorced twice. There's just, and every crossroads, if I get to the place where I don't matter and I've had too much poison and it doesn't matter what I do, I can't fill it. I will always choose to matter or to chase the matter when I'm on the poison side. So of these 12, you are one of them. See what resonates for you. Know that you're all 12, but one of them will be the driver. And I encourage you to think about each turning point in your life and see which one kind of resonates for you. I do have some exercises in the book and about how to listen in to that core story.